consulting so the students can benefit. They can learn how to write articles, they can learn how to put together a journal, they can learn to conduct research. They have to do research on Guyana for us to get the material to write. They have to learn to do online publishing. Some of these students came to us with these capabilities, very highly talented undergraduate students. Website development and maintenance, all of this is done by students. And all these students have worked with the program on this project through Europe's funding. Garrett Farmer is a very talented graphic design student. I don't know if he's graduated as yet. Mayako Jones is in the computer science department. And all these students are either criminal justice, sociology, all the way. Joshi was in computer science. This student was a graduate research assistant that we were able to get to help us with our research. Stephanie Higgins was shared with Ken Litwin. She was his student, his Europe student, and he lent her to the project to do some research for us. But all these students have worked to make this project into what it is today. So we are really indebted to the students. In the process of doing this, they are learning to do research. They are getting something for their resume. They are participating in something that is going to is benefiting a lot of people. UNICEF isn't paying us to do this work. There's nobody to write the grants. There's nobody to do the educational aspect if we don't. Garrett Farmer was very talented. When he saw our logo, he didn't like it, so he created this for the letterhead. And he came up with a new logo, which he thought was much more interesting.
Joan, I was just going to mention one of your students now works for the state of Michigan in corrections, Andrea Garber.
She does?
Yeah, so she works in Lansing.
I am so happy for her. She was a good student, hardworking. She worked in this project too. So, you know, these things really can help give you a perspective. And I brought some handouts for the students regarding international internships and what can be gained from this exercise. And it talks about what is happening at Michigan State. It was on the Chronicle of Higher Education. Just so students can get a sense of, well, why bother to go abroad or be involved in something like this that isn't directly related to Flint, Michigan, or my courses at the university. This is the website that these students created. It is just so awesome. I am so proud of these students. I can't sing their praises enough. Now this is supposed to open when I do this.
Yeah, it's going to take a second. Just.
Oh, okay. They designed this thing. They did everything. And they put it up here. This is Garrett Farmer's work. He was one of the main architects of this website. They did everything. It's just so amazing. I'm so proud of them. And, you know, like we had to launch this. And see, I acknowledged him, Mayoko Jones, Andrea Garber, because they really did a lot of work. And then we launched this newsletter, which I am like so proud of them too. Because they did it all by themselves. You know, I don't have any talent in these areas. I don't know a thing about graphic design and all that. Dr. Litwin is also involved in this project. And we created, this was the inaugural newsletter, the first one, so we wanted it to be special. And the students designed it and created it. And I have a copy here that I can pass around so you can see what it actually looks like. And so we put the students up here who were involved. Some of the students were not Europe students. James Dixon was not funded by Europe. And there was another student who, students worked in it who were not funded by Europe. This is a staff attorney, and then the students who are also editorial assistants on the website.
I'm sorry, John, is the staff attorney, does that person reside
in Guyana?
Yeah.
She's in Linden.
Yeah.
She's a young lawyer who we hired to run the center.
Right.
And so she's on this, but she doesn't do any work on this thing. The students do everything.
Yes.
With reference to this newsletter. She doesn't do any work. She's never given us any material or anything. And then they highlighted, this one was identifying domestic violence. And they highlighted, they went and found material on how to end domestic violence. The domestic violence PowerPoint. All of this was done by students. Everything. Why do battered women stay? And then we printed it and distributed it in the community in Linden. And we, you know, this is going to be a regular feature because education is part of our mission. So we're working on sexual violence against children now. This current version of the newsletter. We are going to talk about how children can avoid sexual victimization, what to do if you're victimized, you know, and so forth. So the students really did great, and they're still doing great, and I can't thank them enough, because I'm so proud of this newsletter. And I don't know anything about computers, as you might have realized. So, had it not been for them, this would never happen. But look what they also did. If we go back to, if we leave this thing, and we go back to our work, or let's go to statistics, right? What happens here is that the center sends me, we have to do reports, quarterly reports for UNICEF, right? On the production in the center, how many people you're seeing, what are the cases. They send me the data, and the students arrange it in the form of a table and put it up on the website. So from the time they started, from January 1st, since UNICEF started funding us, we've had to show number of clients, male, female, juveniles, what the matters were, how many matters we had, and then the students make sure everything gets up on the website properly and everything is fine. And they've done all the way up to our last quarter, which was up to December 2010. So we're working on the first quarter of 2011 now. And the students do all of this. Now, what we're going to do in the next thing, we're going to take this data and present it in other formats, like graphs, charts, bar charts, pie charts, and students can do this. I've already identified another student who has a talent who will be able to do this. And so it's just awesome, because when we give UNICEF this data, every quarter I have to give them results in order to get more funding. And so I really depend on the students to help me, because I can't do all this work. So they're really making a big contribution to the continued funding of the center, and for that, I can't thank them enough. In the meantime, they are learning how to do research. They are getting something for their portfolio. So we're both benefiting, but you know, not to in any way minimize their contribution, which is really great. Now, if I could only come out of this, I would be so grateful.
What do you want her to click?
I want to
Just the
get out of
PowerPoint.
this.
Just
Close.
and close all the tabs. Close all the
What?
tabs.
Yeah?
Close tabs, right there.
Oh, lovely.
There you go.
A total of 186 children have been represented in the following matters over the years by this lawyer that we hired: civil, child custody, child maintenance, police brutality, criminal, children in conflict with the law, assault, children charged with these crimes, assault, break and enter, and larceny. What am I doing?
Press the space bar.
No, it's this. Okay, good. Yes, break and enter, larceny, and then we also have inflicting grievous bodily harm. They're fighting, they're stealing, they're wounding each other, and we got our first case of drug trafficking by a child last quarter. 12-year-old child was found with a bag of marijuana in school, and the child is now before the court, leading his defense. He's only 12, and he's trafficking in narcotics in school already. Then the victims, in Guyana, burglary is a crime. It's a crime here too, when children are the victims. And there's a lot of that now. Boys are being violated, just like girls. Carnal knowledge of a minor. And we've seen so many of these. It's so sad. Indecent assault, physical abuse, rape, incest, lewd conduct with a minor. Every single case, I'm very happy to report that we have represented these victims, because they never had representation before this center was opened. They will go to court, and the lawyers will prove that they're incompetent to testify. Some of these children are terrified, and they're traumatized in court. We've only lost one. They've only lost one case of a child who was raped by a family that took her in. She was only 10, but she had a speech impediment. The lawyer proved that she was incompetent to testify, and the case was dismissed. Every other case has resulted in conviction or imprisonment or fine. This one was completed this quarter, lewd conduct with a minor, where a cousin, a male cousin, an adult, encouraged a 9-year-old child